Welcome back. Live with you tonight and In Focus. Conversation continues now. The DA Deputy Shadow Minister of Public Service and Administration, Dr Mimmy Gondwe, has revealed that there are 305 public servants across the country employed in provincial and national departments who are on suspension on full salaries, settling the South African taxpayer with 130 million rand bill per year. For more on this, we are joined now by Yoliswa Makhasi, the Department of Public Service and Administration Director General. DG, good evening. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Not my words, but the words of one of your chief directors when you were in Parliament in August, saying the discipline management regime in the department is inefficient. One of the things that are being cited is the poor record keeping by senior managers, poor internal monitoring and oversight, and no consequences for not being able to capture data. This is something that is ongoing, and it's weighing really heavy on the pockets of South Africans. As a department, you are raising your hands in the air. You're saying, well, we can't interfere with all these departments. Is that the best you can tell us?
Well, I mean, good evening, Thabo, and the listeners. I just want to contextualize first this by indicating that the SMS handbook, the SMS disciplinary code, does permit an employer to suspend or transfer an employee as a precaution on full pay if there is serious misconduct that has been reported for the purpose of investigations. So the suspensions are in context to that particular provision in terms of the law. Yeah. We have 9,000 plus SMS members in the public service. In terms of the latest statistics that we shared in Parliament, which is between 1st April to 30th June 2022, we had 422 cases registered, and 128 of these cases were finalized and 305 cases outstanding. So these are the outstanding cases that we're talking about today. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, when we presented in Parliament, we highlighted some of the challenges that the public service is experiencing in relation to how we are managing discipline management. We need to review our disciplinary code, and you would understand that the disciplinary code is, we can't review it as a department alone, but we have to engage with the bargaining council processes, and we need to start that process of engagement with the bargaining council around the disciplinary code. We need to modernize and automate some of the processes so that we can easily access data, and it's easier to file data across government, not just at DPSA. So indeed, those are challenges that we are facing in respect to this. And also maybe lastly, just to highlight that human resource management, including discipline management, is decentralized in the public service. So we have different heads of departments responsible for their departments who can speak in detail in respect to each and every case that they are dealing with in the department. And at the level of DPSA, we monitor and report in respect to these particular cases on a quarterly basis with the DGs in departments, and we do share the information at the level of FOSAT, the Forum of South African DGs. So the information that we are presenting about the 305 cases that are outstanding is information that is known to colleagues, and they have much more detail around those specific cases for each of the departments.
So is there nothing you can do? I mean, as you mentioned, yes, in terms of the disciplinary code procedures in public service, you can suspend someone if it's a serious violation. However, even that says that cases should be resolved within 3 months or 6 months if requested so by a chairperson of the panel. So when somebody goes above that to 4 or 5 years, is there nothing you can do to intervene there?
Well, unfortunately, the law leaves it open. So public servants are also very clever people, so they understand the law and they know how to interpret it to their advantage and use to their advantage as well. But in our work that we have done with departments, we have also encouraged departments where you've suspended a person and you don't have a case to prove, you bring back the person to work, because ultimately there's nothing you can do, even if you don't like the person to be at work. But if you don't have a case, you have to bring a person back to work. So we do lots of work with departments. But some of the most common reasons, around why people are suspended is around fraud, corruption, bribery, breach of security measures, financial irregularities, and gross dishonesty at times. And some of these cases are a little bit complex compared to others. So the duration of the hearings and the investigations and must also take that into account. Yes, there is a guide of 3 months, and unfortunately, most of the cases, some of the complex cases, it is impossible to complete the cases. Also remember, once there is a disciplinary in process, the process is out of the hands of the department and out of the hands of the DG, because there must be an independent chair of the disciplinary that gets appointed. And when employees ask for postponements on a number of occasions and the chairperson allows for it, it also counts towards the delays that we experience at the end as part of the factors that contribute to those delays.
Yeah.
I think lastly, let me just...
No, go for it.
I just wanted to highlight that, we have, in terms of the reasons, if I were to go into details, some of the sectors that we work with, like educators, you would have cases involving educators and children, where children may require safer facilities to testify, and that takes time in terms of their systems and processes. We also have an issue around availability of chairpersons and initiators. I've spoken a lot about the issue of complexity of the cases, especially cases involving corruption and involving financial irregularities. The type of forensic investigations at times that must be done must be outsourced, and they take longer than expected. Sometimes subordinates are reluctant to testify against their seniors, and you'll see the statistics that we are sharing here are statistics that involve seniors from director level upwards. And there is also just deliberate stalling at times on the side of the employees, because the case is too strong. They want to continue earning salary whilst on suspension, and they will find every mechanism, including forum shopping. But also we have heard that departments as well do stalling when they do not have a case that is solid that they need to present. So we have these reasons and these challenges. However, there is something that can be done. We work with departments a lot, and some of the data that's coming out, like last year, we got the minister involved to engage, the Minister for Public Service, to engage with some of the ministers and premiers whose provinces were topping high in terms of suspensions that were longer in the system. And we saw a high reduction in terms of the cases within that particular period. And so even this current financial year, we are working with our minister to ensure that the top departments that we identify, there can be engagements with those departments so that these cases that are long in the system must be given attention. We are working as well on a project to jack up our capabilities in the public sector around managing discipline management and effectively tracking and coordinating these processes better.
Yeah. So, but you say those interventions were short-lived. One, because you didn't have enough warm bodies, but not only that, there were monetary constraints as well. I mean, in the current fiscal environment, do you think it would even be possible to revisit those kinds of interventions?
Well, there are things that we can do in the current fiscal environment. The continuous engagement with our colleagues to prioritize the cases and to resolve the cases, and where departments are not moving, escalating the matters to the ministers. We have seen that when matters are escalated to the ministers, and our minister actually speaks to the ministers directly, we organize a meeting, we bring the minister, we bring the DG, there is movement in the cases. So we must do that sustainably as part of our program on a quarterly basis in terms of engagements with those ministers and DGs whose cases are long stayers in the system. So there's something that we can do. There are things that require financial resources. We have support from some of the funders that we work with, like the Canadians, on some of the work that we're doing on discipline management. But also there are resources that we'll have to inject as government in terms of, especially from a systems point of view, because we need to digitize our discipline management system so that we all work on the same platform as provinces and as national, and people don't just send paper and send emails to different people. So those are things that we are looking around and we are working around as a department.
Did you appreciate
with our colleagues in national and provincial departments?
DG, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. Yoliswa Makhasi with the Department of Public Service and Administration.